Chapter 1. Ava had always been drawn to dark places. As a child, she would sneak into abandoned houses and explore the ruins of old factories. She was fascinated by the macabre, the grotesque, the hidden. So it was no surprise that she ended up working as a correctional officer at a maximum security prison. Ava had been on the job for 5 years when she met her new co-worker, Lilith. Lilith was everything Ava wasn't. She was tall, slender, and graceful, with long black hair and piercing blue eyes. She was also incredibly intelligent and charismatic. Ava was drawn to Lilith immediately. They started spending time together after work, talking for hours about everything from philosophy to pop culture. Ava felt like she could tell Lilith anything. One night, Ava was working the late shift when Lilith came to find her. She had a strange look on her face. "I need to talk to you about something," she said. Ava followed Lilith to the prison's break room. They sat down at a table and Lilith took a deep breath. "I've been doing some research on the inmates," she said. "And I found something disturbing." Ava leaned forward, intrigued. "One of the inmates, named Elijah, has a history of violence against women," Lilith said. "He's been convicted of multiple rapes and assaults. But there's more." Lilith paused for dramatic effect. "Elijah is also a member of a satanic cult," she said. Ava's eyes widened. "A satanic cult?" "Yes," Lilith said. "And I believe he's planning something. Something big." Ava felt a chill run down her spine. "What kind of something?" "I don't know for sure," Lilith said. "But I think it's something bad." Ava stood up and started pacing the room. "We need to tell the warden," she said. "Not so fast," Lilith said. "I don't think we should tell the warden." Ava stopped pacing and looked at Lilith in confusion. "Why not?" "Because I don't think the warden would believe us," Lilith said. "And even if he did, I don't think he would take it seriously. He's more concerned with keeping this prison running smoothly than he is with protecting the inmates or the staff." Ava hesitated. She knew that Lilith was right. The warden was a tough, cynical man who didn't believe in second chances. He saw the inmates as nothing more than animals, and he was always looking for an excuse to punish them. "So what do you suggest we do?" Ava asked. "We need to investigate this ourselves," Lilith said. "We need to find out what Elijah is planning and stop him before it's too late." Ava nodded. "Okay," she said. "I'm in." Chapter 2. Ava and Lilith began their investigation by researching Elijah's background. They discovered that he had been raised in a cult and that he had been involved in Satanism since he was a teenager. They also learned that he was a skilled manipulator and that he had a history of controlling other people. Ava and Lilith also started paying close attention to Elijah's behavior in prison. They noticed that he was often alone, and that he would often stare at them from across the yard. They also noticed that he was always whispering to himself, and that he would sometimes mark occult symbols on his cell walls. One night, Ava and Lilith were working the graveyard shift when they heard a strange noise coming from Elijah's cell. They crept over to investigate and saw that Elijah was performing some sort of ritual. He was chanting in a strange language and drawing symbols on the floor with his blood. Ava and Lilith were terrified. They froze in place, unable to move. Elijah continued with his ritual, oblivious to their presence. Finally, Ava found the courage to speak. "Elijah," she shouted. Elijah stopped chanting and looked up at them. His eyes were wild and his face was contorted in a snarl. "What do you want?" he hissed. "We know what you're up to," Lilith said. And we're going to stop you. Elijah laughed. You can't stop me, he said. I'm too powerful. We'll see about that, Ava said. Ava and Lilith turned and ran. They didn't stop running until they reached the break room. They locked the door and sat.